Welcome to Inside the Vocal Salon, the space where voice teachers, coaches, and singers come together to learn, grow, and stay inspired. I'm your host, Michael Sean Harris, and each week we'll explore the art, science, and business of teaching voice through honest conversations and shared experiences. So, if you'd like to connect with other voice professionals and access live masterclasses and exclusive resources, join our online community by subscribing at linktree/reggae online. Now, let's step inside the vocal salon. Hi, welcome to Inside the Vocal Salon. I'm your host, Michael Sean Harris, and today I'm also the guest. I'm the one presenting today. And today we're talking about working with voice competition contestants. So let's begin. So I have worked as a voice coach for Digital Rising Stars for about 20 years. And each year we have a new batch of contestants. So I want to talk about how I worked with these contestants over these years. So weekly, we'd have to warm them up. We'd have to teach them how to warm up. Because it's great to be there weekly to warm them, but you also want them to have some level of independence for when you're not there, for them to be able to warm themselves up to and cool down, to be ready to be on stage and what to do with themselves once they're off stage. So you'd also have to teach them about taking care of their voices. Talk about what they can and cannot eat, and when they can and cannot eat those things. The importance of drinking water, of hydration, the importance of practicing like it's a performance, and also when to mark. When we talk about marking, we mean doing it maybe at 50%. Like if you have vocal issues, or you're just tired, or you've been performing a lot and you want to just mark things. But you still need to, at some point, practice as though it is performance so you can test the limitations of what you can do, right? So, uh, another thing we'd have to talk about is song selection. So, when you think about song selection, we're thinking about, is this song right for their voice? I mean, yes, sometimes we like the most popular song or the latest song, but is it really right for that particular singer? So we have to think about that. We have to discuss that. Are there versions of the song that can work for them, or can a new arrangement be made that can work for them? So when you think about the song, you want to think about the range. You want to think about the subject matter. Is it something that they're comfortable singing about? You want to again, think about the arrangement and where it goes, where it begins, where it takes you, where it ends. Yeah. So also, you might, as the coach, and this is one of the things that I did for them, is maybe help them edit the song, choose the pieces of the song that they will do, because a lot of time there's a time limit on what they can perform, so they can't perform the whole song. So you have to decide, okay, I'm going to cut down the introduction or eliminate verse two, and maybe I go from the chorus straight to the bridge, and then back to a chorus, and we don't do verse three either. So you have to think about those things, and while you're coming up with that, you might have to do a digital edit for them, and maybe even adjust the key of that digital edit for them to audition and practice with and see if it works. And if they agree to it, then after that you have to decide, okay, will they perform with a track, or is it going to be with a band? Um, there might be other people who can help with this. There might be the musical director, or other people, but you might need to also help them do a lead sheet. They might not have to do this in a competition setting, but in other settings, they might have to create a lead sheet for their arrangement and the key that they're going to perform. So, um, also, when you're thinking about the songs, you want to think: is the song going to work for them for their audience? Is it a song that's well known or that's well liked? Is it going to work for their community, for the culture that they're a part of, or that they're performing for? And because sometimes you will choose well loved and well known songs, and those will work fine. But sometimes if they're not done well, it can work against you. You can also surprise an audience with a song that is not as well known, but if your student, your contestant, performs it so well that it has a wow factor, then it really works to their advantage. So, what else? So, we also need to think of the arrangement. When you think about this edit and what the arrangement is, what parts of the song would best show off what they can do vocally? Um, is it the second verse or the way the second verse is done, but using the words of the first verse, and then the bridge, will definitely usually take you to a different level, depending on the song, so you can work with them to decide. Um, you still want the performance to feel like a complete performance, even with an edited version of the song. So, because you have limited time, so you maybe want to steer clear of songs that have a slow build or a long build, long build ups. Choose maybe songs that have the changes between sections that happen more quickly. So you're still able to show off the voice and do justice to the songs in the time allotted. So if you're in the position to advise them on costuming, then you want to think about, does it showcase them their physicality? Does it flatter them? Is it flattering? Is it not, right? Are they comfortable in what they're wearing? Can they pull it off? Does it work for the song? Does it work for how well they move, or their confidence, their personality, that kind of thing? So with a costume, it's really good to have them perform. I like to say practice in heels, but and it works for anybody, right? Even if you're not wearing heels, practice in the clothes and the shoes and the jewelry that you're going to perform, because sometimes the clothes can be noisy, the jewelry can be noisy and distracting. The shoes can be uncomfortable. The shoes sometimes, if they're too new, they're not as flexible. You need to kind of break them in a bit. So you want to catch these issues early. So you have them practicing the clothes, practicing the jewelry, practicing the shoes, and see how it works with them on stage, right? I've seen necklaces and earrings and stuff that are very noisy and very distracting, or clothes that are too poofy, or and get in the way of what they're doing. So it's something that you really want to consider when you're preparing them for their contest performance. Next, I would say breathing and blocking. Help them to create some kind of storyline, and you base their blocking and or choreography on this storyline. Also, this blocking and the storyline will help them to remember lyrics, because if they have this storyline, some kind of movie going on, movie storyline, some novella, telenovela happening in their head about the song that they're performing, then it's going to have a natural progression in terms of story and in terms of the song, and it will help them place, okay, these are the words I sing when this is happening, when I am at this place on stage, and then the next thing is going to transition me to this other part on stage and this other part of the story which fit these lyrics. So all of these things kind of work together to help them remember the song, remember what to do on stage, remember what emotions they are showcasing for the audience. The emotion thing is very important. Have them think about, from section to section, what are the prevailing emotions that they want to communicate to the audience, because that's what audiences respond to, is emotion. So next thing is microphone technique, stage awareness, and stage presence. So microphones, sometimes they are not that familiar with using microphones, and so you want to kind of help them with how to maintain their sound in the diaphragm of the microphone, and how to use this microphone on stage. Sometimes people who are not as comfortable or familiar with using microphone tend to put the mic down their chest or even drop it on the floor, and sometimes that can cause feedback. But what it definitely does is it stops us from hearing what they're singing. So you want to keep it where we can consistently hear what they're singing, the words and the tones that they're creating, and stage awareness of being aware of where is downstage, where is upstage, where is stage right and stage left, who else is on stage with me, do I have dancers on stage with me, where do I move when, so to just to have some kind of awareness of the stage and their relationship to the audience, because that is what's going to work to create their stage presence, their confidence, and their awareness and comfort on stage. I hope this all is clear. Uh, so another thing that you want to think about is the psychology and the emotional well-being. When they're in a thing like a vocal competition, it can be a lot to deal with, especially if you are coming from a place where a lot of people didn't know you necessarily before, and now there's all this press and there's all this media happening around, and your name is in lights all the time, and it happens something almost overnight. So it's a lot to deal with emotionally, and you want to find ways to keep them even keeled and grounded, and and level headed, where this new found notoriety has come in, and how do they manage that, how do they deal with it, um, how do they keep themselves grounded and not be blown away with all the um the media and the press, which as well, once the show is done, sometimes within a week, within 2 weeks, then all that dies down and they have to deal with that as well. So uh, all of that is very, very, very important to think about. Um, so the the within the course of the contest, sometimes even this having to deal with the PR and the press can affect all the other things, like what they'll wear. It can affect what songs they're going to choose, or how well they respond to your advice that you're giving them as well, um, because they'll have a lot of people, a lot of fans now who are going to be kind of propping them up and giving them a boost, and at times that can affect how open they are to your feedback and to your guidance. So you have to be aware of that as well and respond accordingly. Um, you don't want to be abrasive. You don't want to offend. So you want to still want to be gentle, because these people are generally, they're, for the most part, they're younger people and they're still growing and still learning. Um, so let's go over some of these things. So warm ups. Let's go back to the beginning. Warm ups. You want to be able to have them start with things like humming, and just short exercises in exercises that have a short range, and then you kind of expand and have them kind of expand to the top of their range and the lowest part of their range, and you keep testing and trying to push beyond. Things like semi-occluded vocal tract things, like humming or lip trills, using straw exercises, that kind of stuff. Scales help for agility and for intonation, and you can take some things like those slow, so you can make sure that they're in tune. And then if you want to go faster, keeping it in tune, then you're working on agility, being able to change notes and sing those runs and riffs and that kind of stuff. So if each time you meet with them, you're going through these exercises, you will see this improvement happening with them as well, uh, because you want their facility to improve, so that they can start learning these songs even quicker, depending on the difficulty level of the song. uh, and of course, if there are rehearsals and tapings and shoots and live performances, the health part, taking care of your voice, maintaining your voice and maintaining your hydration and being able to instill some kind of discipline in terms of when they eat, what they eat. Things like eating greasy food or really spicy food can cause things like acid reflux, which will affect their voice, which will affect how much rest they get, because sometimes at night they'll be waking up with this acid reflux and they wouldn't have rested, right? Things like alcohol and lots of sugary drinks can draw a lot of water from them. It can dehydrate them, so make sure that they're drinking water. Uh, um, if they're on medication, those things can also affect their voice and their singing. So it's good for you to be aware of that and be aware of what can help them contract any of those effects. Uh, so health wise. Um, yeah. So performing, no. I mentioned earlier about performing full out, which is like it's a performance, like they're on stage or marking. So I will reiterate, like when you're learning something, it's good to be able to perform it as if you're on stage, as if you're in the performance, because that way you can test the limits of your capability. A lot of times when we're in rehearsal, we can do a particular thing, but once we get on stage, there's other factors. There's the lights, there's the audience, there's stage fright, there's all these other things that come into play. And so what we did in rehearsal, maybe we can do it just the way, or sometimes it's in rehearsal it might have been 100%, on stage it might be 70%. So when you're in rehearsal, you almost want to try and do 110%, so you can get that 100% on stage. So if there are things affecting your singer though, if there are vocal issues, if there's dehydration or lack of rest, or emotional stuff that's going on, or if they're doing a lot of performances back to back to back, and so there's fatigue, then yes, we do what we call marking the performance. So that means maybe singing at 50%, not projecting as much, and not overthinking slight intonation things, because you're not trying to overreach and make everything perfect, but you're marking things. Your marking can help with other things, with lyrics. You want to make sure that you have the lyrics right and the form is correct, and you remember where we start, because you're working with edited versions of the music. So you also have to they also have to remember that, so they have to practice that. So they remember, okay, I'm doing verse one, with a very short intro, verse one and the chorus, and then I'm going to go to the bridge, and then I might do verse two and then do a double chorus, or one chorus and there's a tag, and there's this big ending that I have to remember. So those things you can still rehearse with marking. There's other things visually you can rehearse. Sometimes, depending on how, if they're physically tired or not, they can also um, mark it vocally, but physically do it full out. So they can be on stage and make all their positions, hit all their marks on stage, and look where they need to look in the audience for whatever vocal cues or lyrical cues, right? So I think we spoke about um, a lot about choosing the right songs, and sometimes the right song is a current song, sometimes the right song is a very old song, but sometimes the challenges you have with some younger performers is that if they don't know the song, they think the song doesn't exist, or they think that nobody else knows the song because they don't know it. But a lot of times their exposure is limited, and so a song that the community or the audience probably does know and they sing all the time and they hear it on the radio all the time, the contestant might not know, and so you have to kind of work through that and convince them that this is a well-known song, or this song will really work well. um, so there's sometimes a little push and pull with that. So you you kind of have to, because you as the coach or the teacher or the person helping to select the song will have a broader sense of what's been done, what can be done, what exists, what works, what has been a hit. So you will be more informed with that, right? And but of course you can listen to what their opinion as well, because they know what they like as well, and they know what their peer group likes, and if that's who they're singing for, then you need to be aware of that as well. So when you've done this edit for the song, if this is something that you are helping with, creating some kind of a lead sheet, and it doesn't have to be a full-on arrangement. It could be just chords, maybe the melody, maybe not, maybe it's lyrical cues, but chords and the form that they're going to perform, which is the edited form of the song, whether it's that short intro and the verse into chorus, into bridge, into one chorus, into the outro and tag or the ending. So you have chords and cues onto the groove that you're using. Is it an R&B? Is it rock? Is it reggae? Is it dancehall? Whatever. Is it soca? Is it bossa nova? Whatever, reggaeton. So and little things that the instrumentation might have to play, some cues that they might have to play, or some rhythmic things that everybody plays. Those are gonna show up in the lead sheet, right? So, and that will help if it's a band or if somebody is creating the track. A lot of times, if it's somebody making a track for them, that edit that you did, that digital edit that you did for them, you can send that to the person and tell them the key and give them the details, and then they will fill those in, right? So again, now with the costuming, we spoke about that they that they will, it's best if they try and rehearse with the costuming. If their shoes are brand new, you want to make it as comfortable as possible, or have them break it in, or if you need to pad them or whatever, so they can move freely on stage and be comfortable. That's the whole point of it, of being aware of what is a hindrance and what is a distraction, so that when they are on stage, they're confident and they're comfortable. Okay. And we mentioned before as well about breathing and blocking, when to breathe, how to access the breathing and support your sound, support these phrases, along connected phrases if they need to, or or how to approach certain things that are more percussive vocally, to deal with them in a more percussive way so that they come across easily. How to where the placement for the voice, where there's a more forward sound, especially if they're working with a band or working in a pop setting. You want their voice, their vocals to kind of cut across all of the music and everything else. uh, and the mic technique is part of this as well, in terms of how direct they're singing into the microphone, so that the engineers have a nice strong signal from them, and they can apply their effects, their delays, and their echo and their reverb, etc. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Um, there's quite a bit to it. As I said before, I did this for about 20 years with these contestants. Um, but I think this is a good place to start, in terms of what to think about when you're being a vocal coach for people who are contestants in these televised voice competitions. And of course, depending on the situation, depending on the competition, some of these roles might be broken down for many people and not just the vocal coach. Sometimes the vocal coach's role is just limited to warming up, and this is the song we're doing, so help them learn this and work on that. Good. So I hope that was helpful, and thank you once again for coming out to um, for taking another episode of Inside the Vocal Salon. Thanks for spending time with us inside the Vocal Salon. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow and leave a quick review. It really helps other teachers find the show and join our growing community. And don't forget, to visit linktree/reggae online to join our online community, where you'll find live classes, resources, and a support network of voice professionals from around the world. Until next time, keep lifting voices, including your own.